Welcome to the video where I'm going to completely expose Ricky Gutierrez for the brutal, honest truth of his Learn, Plan, Profit trading course. Now, if you don't know who I am, I have been stock investing for over 8 years now, and I've produced 5 figures of profit on less than $4,000 investment. And I continue to produce small amounts of profit and draw that money out. Before I get into the video, I first have to explain the idea of compounding interest and why I think day trading is or is not a good idea. So it depends on your style, your risk tolerance, and what you actually believe in, but let me explain it. If you're going to buy the course regardless, please use my affiliate link, which will fund course reviews. Okay, so I've got a compound interest calculator here. I'm going to input $1,000 initial investment, so you start with $1,000, and we're going to put a 100% yearly compounding rate, which means you double your money every single year. We'll run it for 5 years. No additional contributions. Making sure it's at a yearly compounding, and after 5 years you end up with $32,000. Now if we start with $1,000 and we compound 2% every single week, which means every week we're gaining 2% on our $1,000 and it continues to go up, and I'm going to change the compounding to weekly compounding, and we're going to run the simulation, and you are going to be shocked. So I'm just going to explain quickly how the compounding interest works. So on the left we have years. Starting at 0, we start with $1,000. If we double our money every year, we 2 times what the previous year was at the end of the year. This means we're compounding, we're gaining our interest once per year, and if you double it after 5 years, you end up with $32,000. Now, if we do this with weeks, you might think just to yourself, if you're not very good with understanding how this works, there's 52 weeks in a year. If you do 2% per week, that equals 104%. Well, that is not the case, and let me explain right now. So each week equals the previous week plus 1. And we're going to run that down all the way. If we do 5 times 52, that's going to be 258 or 260 weeks, I believe, with if we go for 5 years. And then we're starting with $1,000 here, and the next week we go the previous week times 1.02, that's 2%. And if we run that all the way down for 259 or 260 weeks, you can see that we end up with that $172,000 mark. $172,000, and this is the power of compound interest. Now if we change that to gaining just 3% every week, we end up with $2.1 million. Now this is the power of frequently trading. Now in theory this sounds great, but the real issue is making the 2% consistently over time, and that's what especially beginners are going to struggle with. There's going to be a lot of days where you make 1, 2, 5, 10, even 50 or 100%. When things start popping off, you might have a really big day, but the problem is the consistency, and is capping your losses, minimizing the downside while maximizing the upside. And that's really what this battle learning how to day trade is can you make money enough times without losing all your money that you learn the skills fast enough to become a profitable day trader. And the honest truth is that for 90+% of people, you will not get to that point before you give up or decide to do something else with your money, because it may cost you a lot of money if you're consistently putting money in and then losing. But what will happen is that as you go through this, even if you break even, you will learn to become better and better trader over time. And that's what happened to me. Is I kind of broke even for probably 6 months when I was day trading every single day, and over time I got better and better at trading. Now, some things did happen where I did lose large sums of money because I stopped focusing on the day-to-day. I kept my positions. I bought a stock, and I planned to sell it at a certain point, but I allowed it to go past the value at which I was going to cap my losses, and it kept going down. And this happens to people every single time. There's nobody who hasn't done this. So there's something you need to understand. If you're somebody who's a beginner, who you're starting with $500 or $1,000, 2% of that $1,000 is going to be $20, and that may not even cover your commission fees on the trades, depending on which brokerage you use, if you get free trades or not. So if you're someone who only has $1,000 to put in, I honestly don't recommend day trading at all. It's not worth the commission fees, and you'll want to focus on swing trading or longer term trading until you get your account to maybe $5,000 or $10,000. For me, I started with $1,000. I realized I wasn't making enough consistently to cover my commission fees, so I gradually increased that to about $4,000, and that's where I really felt comfortable trading with about $4,000. That means at 2%, I was able to make about $80 per day, give or take, if I had a 2% day. And for days that I lost money, I was losing $40 or $50, which is something that I was comfortable losing on a day-to-day basis. So over time, I built my positions up. I went from $4,000 maybe up to $8,000 or $9,000, and then back down, and then back up. And I started getting to the point where my trading frequency was causing me more problems than profits that I was getting. So I reduced my trading frequency to somewhere around checking the stock market every day, but only trading on a weekly basis, maybe making 1 or 2 trades per week. And then that's where I found a ton of success with making money and building my account. And I took my initial account from a $4,000 initial investment all the way up to, at the peak of my account, I had about $34,000 total investments. Most of that profit, some of that was additional contributions, but I made well into the 5-figure range of pure profits. And then I started to draw that out once COVID happened, and since then I've reduced my portfolio size to a lot smaller size, where I'm just passively investing, because I also started my career after graduating university, and I'm not rushing into this to try and make a living off of it. So overall, because of how risky trading frequently is for losing money, I actually don't recommend it to anybody who's starting off in the investment world. I think that you should start off using a longer time frame where you can plan, do a lot of research, do a lot of planning, pick a few trades, see what happens, and learn how the market works over 1 or 2 or even 3 years, using weeks as your time frame and not days, because that's going to expose you to a lot less risk over time. Your money is going to go way slower because you're not good at what you're doing. Now, if you're someone who wants to learn really fast, you should use paper trading like Ricky suggests in the course. I honestly believe it's going to take you approximately 3 or more years before you actually become a consistently profitable trader, because it takes a lot of mistakes to actually learn your lesson. Even when you think you know it all, you might strike it big off the hop, but that's not going to be consistent over the long run unless you have a lot of experience understanding how the market works and building up your intuition for when to get out of certain positions when you buy a stock. So you understand that day trading is super risky. It's high risk, but it's also high reward if you actually become consistently good at it. Now, do I think Ricky Gutierrez is a scammer? No, I actually don't believe he's a scammer. I believe he definitely exaggerates some of the results that you can get as a beginner day trader. Of course, whenever you're selling a product or service to someone, you're not going to talk about the downsides or the risk of that service or product. You might put in a little warning here and there, but for the most part, you're going to focus on, oh, this could be you. You could make millions of dollars within a short time frame, and maybe 1 or 2 people are going to do that, but the reality is, for you right there, it's not going to happen. So if you're coming in with that expectation by taking this course that you're going to be a consistently profitable trader within a short time span, that's just simply not the case. It's going to take years and years of hard work and dedication to get to that point. Now, Ricky does talk about this. I'm not sure if he says it specifically in the course, but in his YouTube videos and in his live streams, he does talk about this. So I think he does a good job of sharing those risks and highlighting them, but at the same time, I think he doesn't do enough to caution people who are buying the course to understand that they're probably not going to ever in their entire lives become a consistently profitable day trader. Now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk about what I actually think about the course, and I personally believe it is a valuable course. It is worth the money. From my perspective, I paid for the course, I enjoyed taking the course, and I learned a ton from that course. And I actually use those strategies that I learned in that course to invest today, but I no longer do day trading. I use swing trading and a little bit of long-term investing to make my stock purchasing decisions. And for me, this strategy has proved to be successful. I've made more than enough profits that I'm happy with where I'm at, and I'm happy with my skill level. And it's something that I just do in the background for extra money at this point. And I know that as I continue to compound over the long run, years from now, I will be making that six-figure range off of stock investing. One thing that you have to understand about day trading is that you can't continue to compound at the same rate forever. And that's because as you increase your account size, say you get to $150,000 account, you're not going to be able to buy and sell that amount of stock in a short time span, simply because there is not enough stock available being traded at that price point that quickly. So really, once you get to that six-figure mark of your account, you're only ever gonna be able to trade with that amount for the rest of your life. So maybe you'll put $500,000 into a stock, but if you put a purchase price of $2.05, for example, there may not be enough stock available to fill it at that price. So maybe part of your order gets filled, and then you're stuck with that certain position at that amount of money. Say it's only 100,000 out of the 500 you wanted. Well, now you're stuck trading with that 100,000 anyway. And then once you start to trade with those larger amount, the purchase or sale from your account actually starts to influence the price of the stock if you're buying up too much of the stock that's available or selling too much at one time. One of the biggest questions is, do people think Ricky makes more money from selling the course than he does from day trading? And my honest answer is yes. I think he probably makes well over six figures per year day trading. Maybe he makes $150,000 to $250,000 day trading on an annual basis. But I think that his course is probably making him $1 to $2 million annually. So overall, I think if you want to learn how to trade on the stock market, but you also understand that it's not going to make you a millionaire in 1 or 2 years, then you should absolutely check out the course, knowing full well it's going to take tons of work and dedication to be consistently profitable in the stock market. If the course is something you're interested, please check my affiliate link down below. The reason I have this here is just to fund future course reviews.